To open this city council meeting up, April 6th, 2021. Would you stand with us so we can, the mayor?
I would like to ask Dr. Bobby Powell to come up to the podium and do the prayer for us tonight. So she has a direct line. So.
Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight, just thanking you for this opportunity for us to come together. We ask that you bless our council, Lord, and touch their hearts and lead them and guide them as they direct us and make the decisions for our city. And bless everyone in the place tonight. This I ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Kathy, can you call the roll?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Jetman.
Here.
Ivy.
Here.
Lawrence.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here. Okay. Anyone in the audience that has business they want to bring to us, if you see Clerk Haley, she'll set you up. We've already got two. So, mayor's report.
Just a couple things. Soda Fest was last weekend. Did a good job. Had a lot of people. Had great weather. Friday was a lot better attended than I thought it would be. So they really had. They did a good job and kind of mixed it up where they had the soda and then they had some vendors down there too. So it really made it fill up the circle and a lot of people showed up. So thanks to those that organized the Soda Festival. We have the Heritage Festival, Mr. Pollard, on the weekend of the 17th. And 18th, okay. And but it's the Jim Pollard and his committee have put together the celebration of the 100th year of the county, and should be a pretty big event from what it looks like, Jim. So thank you for doing that for the county. Last thing I have is that we have a retiring police officer, and he can't make it today because he's on his new job already. But I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation and hand it over to the chief. But Paul DeShazo, he says, whereas Paul DeShazo began his career with the Sebring Police Department as a probationary police officer in October 2000, and whereas Paul DeShazo became a full-time police officer assigned to patrol in April 2001 and has been promoted through the ranks including corporal in 2017 and sergeant in 2018, whereas Paul DeShazo is retiring from the department in his current position of patrol sergeant. Whereas Paul DeShazo has served the citizens of the city of Sebring with his department for over 20 years with honor and distinction, and whereas Paul DeShazo is retiring from his position on April 2nd, 2021. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor, city clerk, and members of the city council of the city of Sebring do hereby convey their sincere appreciation for the years of dedicated public service rendered in the city to the city and its citizens. So, see Paul, tell him thanks. I can remember when he was just a young buck, so just a kid, and I think he's still a kid. So, well, we thank Paul. Thanks for his service to that. So I'm going to give this to you, Chief, and if you want to pass it on. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilman's concerns, comments, and liaison reports.
I just wanted to remind everybody about the farmer's market on Saturday across from the library. I went there on Saturday and it's getting bigger. There was about 12 different vendors there, all the way from beef, fresh beef, I think from a guy from Wachula, to some good cookies and other things, and fresh vegetables as well. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. It's going to go on for a few more weeks, I think. Then they're going to close down for the summertime and open back up next fall, I believe. So if you get a chance, go by.
Sounds good. No report.
No report.
Okay, I got a couple things. First of all, sunrise service, Sunday morning was on the circle, was very good, very well attended. I'm going to guess there was over 100 people that was there. It was very, very good. The other thing I want to talk about is the Wachovia Bank. Last meeting, we kind of threw that away in a way, and I'm a little concerned about that because we had staff do a lot of work. And then Mark, myself, and the mayor put in some time, and we just kinda said, no, let's don't do that, let's wait. And, the citizens that I talk to think that's the best place for us to be. We say we wanna see downtown grow, but we wanna sit here. We wanna be encompassed by the county. We don't wanna go down there. We don't wanna do what we say we wanna see happen. So I would like for us to reconsider that, reconsider going on and finding out what it costs us. Because I know finances, but any business person, well, I run my business. If I waited till I had the money to do something, I'd never do it. Because I don't have that kind of money. I have to string it out and I have to work on it. So, and I wanted us to vote on that. That's the reason I asked for a motion, and we said we didn't need a motion. I would like to have known who was for it and who was against it. I got a pretty good idea, but I think we need to reconsider it because staff has a lot of time invested in this. And we do need to do a RFP on this. And, you know, we had the pickleball people come in and go, oh, no, we can't let you do here because we're gonna sell this building. And later in the meeting, oh, we're gonna stay here. So it was kind of a wishy-washy type situation, and we need to quit doing that. We need to, when we start something, we need to finish it. So, that's what I think.
I think that we decided to put it out for proposals to see who was gonna bite and who wasn't gonna bite, to see if it was feasible to sell this property for the dollars that we need in order to mitigate the cost of remodeling that building. And I still think we need to do that.
But kind of the way I read it is we just.
No, that's not what we did. We
you
instructed them to put it out for an RFP, which is what they're
Did you-
they're doing it, correct?
Okay.
So as their process goes along and they determine if there's interest in this property, and if there is interest that is viable to pay what we believe the property is worth, and at that point, we can determine whether or not to proceed with the purchase.
Okay.
And what we had also discussed previously was if we weren't able to raise that money, not to do it. Now, I know there's some dissension about that, but I still believe that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to borrow $2 million.
Oh, I don't either, but I think
Right.
we'll get more for this building than we think we will.
Well, that's why we're doing the RFP.
Are we doing an RFP, Penny? Okay, good, okay, thank you.
Something that's come up since then, though, and I just want to bring it to everybody's attention.
We don't want it there.
Do you know more than I do? Can you read my mind? And I don't know what what their meeting was about today, per se, or what was said about it, but there's some consideration that the county may want that building for a library. The CRA is looking at possibly, and this is all just in planning stages, about helping the county relocate the library so we have that area for the waterfront park, or a bigger waterfront park, if you will, of some sort, or a redevelopment of the waterfront park, which they have a study going on right now, and they're spending a little over $100,000 for that study for the waterfront area. That may or may not include relocating the library, but the county is looking at that Wachovia Bank building to possibly move the library to. So before we get too far along the way and spend money on us, the $70,000 in particular is what I'm talking about, then I wonder if we shouldn't just, again, and I know that this is just pushing the can down the road, so to speak, but maybe table that just for another 2 weeks or another month and let the county decide what they want to do and in conjunction with the CRA. All the pieces of this puzzle may fit together, but it may take a little patience on our part.
Well,
But what do y'all think about that building for a library?
We lose the parking lot, the fire department uses that parking lot constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, you go there, I've seen just about every fire truck we own on that parking lot.
Well, I think if the county did determined to go after it. I don't know if they are going to or not, but I'm sure we would, the parking lot would be available for us to use.
Maybe.
Well, the CRA would not allow that to happen, because we know where they live.
Yeah.
And there's still a platted road that runs between, that splits the building side
And
with
the
some
parking.
parking and the balance of the parking where the
Yeah. Right.
drive-through is.
Okay.
I'm kind of more on Leonard's side, is that we keep, like Charlie said, we keep kicking this can down the road. We got to the point to say, okay, let's get to the point to see what it's gonna cost us. Now we backed out, we got to that point to say, it's gonna cost us $68,000, I think was the price on this. Well, if we do the RFP, if we kick this down, this can is gonna get kicked as fast as government moves. We're years down the road on this thing if we keep pushing this thing out, but I think we still don't know, and we're gonna come up to the end of it to say, okay, well, somebody's gonna give us $800,000, what's it gonna cost to do this building? So now we gotta start over from that side of it, where I think there's pieces to this puzzle that we can put in there to say, okay, this is it, and it may come in to say, and it may solve our question too, they come in and say it's $4 million, there's no way we're gonna do it anyway. But we just, we keep stuttering steps on this thing, we're not getting a clear path to it. And I think the clear path, the next one is just to say, what is the estimate within the 10% range that they're gonna give us, what's this thing gonna cost? And that may solve an issue right there too. And I think it's money well spent. If the county comes in and says we want it, they're gonna have to have this kind of cost estimate, which I think probably the way CRA does it, they're gonna have to support somehow with the county. There's gonna be some kind of deal, and David, I'm putting words in your mouth, but I think if the county's gonna do it, they're gonna come back to the CRA and say, okay, what's the building worth? What are you gonna do? What's it gonna cost us to get in this thing? So there's major pieces to that are gonna drive the bulk of that. There's, walls that have to be moving electrical, but, you've got bathrooms, you've got elevators, you've got roofing, air conditioning, some major pieces that are gonna be part of their plan also. But I just think we just, we do shuffle steps on this, and we've gotten nowhere in the last, when did you guys buy that? 2 years ago, so. But I think we're missing some steps here. I'm not saying go full bore into this thing, but I still think.
Well, you're talking about spending $80,000.
I think it was 68,000.
68.
But it still,
That's
it makes
a-
a decision from
Yeah,
us, so.
well, but doesn't it make a decision if we can't sell it as well? And they've already started the process for the RFP. So I don't see.
Yeah, but but I still think we don't know where we're at. That's the biggest problem, so. That's my opinion.
Well, I agree with that, except for without that dollar figure, we don't know where we're at either.
Right.
So
right.
you could spend that $68,000 and find out this property is not gonna give us the money we need to
Correct.
supplement the remodeling.
Correct.
So really, we
I
are
agree.
progressing.
It's in this little ball of whatever we have here that's just getting shuffled around. I just think we need to find out where we're at. But it comes in at $1.5 million, why would you didn't have to get that much for this building? So we don't know where that's at. Then we're gonna say, okay, let's see where it goes, and then if you're gonna do an RFP on this building to sell it, somebody's gonna come in here and say, okay, this RFP is good for 18 months down the road, because that's what it's gonna take to get into that building by the time we do the steps that we have to do. So I think we're just, it's a big cloud. It's how do you, and I'm not saying any way's the right way, but that's my opinion. I think we could take some smaller steps to get to the bigger steps, so.
Does anybody have any input on what the county might have talked about today, as far as the library park goes? We're not sure.
I wasn't there, so.
You got comments?
I got a comment?
Yeah,
No?
okay.
Not at this time.
I think the path.
It's a
that
conundrum, what'd I
Councilman
tell you?
Stewart had recommended is probably the most
Okay.
prudent way to go.
Okay.
And it does fit profile of what we're trying to accomplish.
All righty, let's move on then. The consent agenda, I entertain a motion.
Can I ask to pull 8I to handle separately, please, sir?
8I, okey-dokey.
The last one.
Yeah, I'm fumbling through there.
It's an ordinance, I need to read the title first.
Okay, so.
Also wanted to point out in 8B, the next city council meeting is listed at 6 PM. In reality, it's gonna be at 5:30 PM. That's a typo.
Motion?
Second.
Who made the motion?
Oh, I thought he made a motion to, I'll make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
With
I'll
change.
attend the meeting here in a minute.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda with the provisos of the change in the time and pulling 8I.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you. Okay, we've got a motion, a second. Any more discussion? Not. Kathy, poll the board, please.
Denton.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Cornell.
Yes. Okay, 8I, Mr. Swain.
Yes, sir. It is a proposed ordinance entitled an ordinance amending ordinance number 1459 to correct the scrivener's error in one parcel of the legal description of the annexation property on US Highway 27 North in the Outback-Pier 1 area lying in a portion of the east half of Section 26, Township 34 South, Range 28 East, Highlands County, Florida, into the city of Sebring, Florida, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any motions?
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we approve the ordinance on first reading and present and schedule second and final reading. Council's April 20th, 2021.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Kathy?
Denton.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Cornell.
Yes. Okay, no old business, new business. 10A, appointment to Sebring Airport Authority. Attached, please find correspondence from Sebring Airport Authority. Executive Mike, Director Mike Willingham. The terms of the current board member Carl Cool expires on April 30th, 2021. Mr. Cool is seeking reappointment. Two names are being submitted as follows. Carl Cool and Gary Jermaine. And we have a ballot. Right? Yeah. Well, they all gave the stuff. So, Kathy, you do this? Okay.
Okay, the first thing that will be read is Mr. Carl Poole. Denton.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Cornell.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Poole stays on.
He is here if you'd like to.
Would you like to do a speech, Mr. Poole?
If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Moving on.
Yeah, we'll move. Yeah. Okay, it's 10B, homeless concerns. Dr. Bobby Smith Powell, would you like to come up and talk to us, please?
Well, I did have a PowerPoint. I sent the PowerPoint. You have it.
Again, thank you for doing the prayer.
No, I think he was gonna put it up there, but he didn't copy it out.
You didn't what?
It's not copied out, it's up there.
Behind where you'll be standing.
There it is. Yes, ma'am.
They have a copy.
I made copies for you all just in case.
We have them as well.
Oh, okay. I made a PowerPoint copy. I didn't know what kind. Oh, they made the whole sheet.
Yeah.
In case you want to take notes. I'm gonna try to do this quickly.
Okay.
What I really wanted to do was say who I am and what we do in case you do not know me. I am Dr. Bobby Smith Powell. I'm a Sebring resident. I've been here since 1992 as a permanent resident, but I lived here throughout the summers all my life growing up, and I attended school here in the 7th grade. And I am the founder of this organization called Head Hearts and Hands Department. It's also called HHH Department. And we have what we call the Homeless Care Connect program. So I just want to flip through these slides quickly and show you something, and then I'll bring out the points that I want to bring out concerning the homeless.
Scott?
Oh, okay. Our vision is to live in a productive society wherein everyone excels at their optimal level. I don't know if you just heard what the president said, but he put out a little statement, and that fit with our vision because it said, we all do better when we all do well. So that's kind of what our vision is. Our mission is to provide safe and supportive communities, to provide and support youth recreational activities, to support youth, adult, and homeless academic opportunities, to connect with the provision of food, water, hygiene, and health, to support the provision of shelter and safety to those who are homeless, to support the homeless or underprivileged in the acquisition of skills needed for employment, and to provide a connection to permanent and affordable housing for homeless and rehoused with a housing first focus. Now, we've been doing a lot of this already as an organization, but this is a part of our vision, and our mission statement is there. And I am the Director of Administration, and my husband, who is Reverend Anthony Powers, is the Director of Operations. And all of our experience is listed there. He has numerous years in building, and you know most of the builders here. He's an AFL scaffold carpenter. He does framing, drywall, hanging, finishing doors, windows, house mechanic, sprinkler systems, and he's in the ministry, and he does most of our outreach within the ministry. Most of my experience has been in education. I've also worked in social work, and I'm in the ministry also, and I'm on the board of several different organizations. I'm an all lines adjuster, and I'm a pastor also. And this is a list of our board of directors and our current Highlands and Polk County partners. Next. And I know it's fast, but I have extra copies if you want to see them. While we do what we do from our head, the name of our organization is HHH. That stands for our head, our heart, and our hands. Everything that we do it with these three components in mind. Next slide. Well, and we do this mainly from our head because of what we've been taught. And everybody in here, I'm sure, have heard of Maslow. If you haven't, this is a pyramid that shows him the discussion of how basic needs fit on this scale. And as all human beings, we all have the same needs. No one is any different from anyone else. It doesn't matter whether you're male, female, whether you're young or old. Nothing can distinguish this or make it different. We all have physiological needs. We all need air, food, water, and health. Then it goes up to safety, then love and belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization. Actually, this is like a mountain of needs. You cannot jump and start on level 3. Everybody starts right out at the bottom. If your needs are not met there at that bottom level, you cannot excel to the next level. So it's one step at a time. So if you're on that very bottom, just think that's where your very basic needs are. Many people are on that level. Next slide. So now I just give you a little more detail in showing you there how all 4 of those levels below that peak of that mountain, those are deficiency needs. That means if an individual does not have all 4 of those levels met, he is in a deficiency. And the first 2 are called the basic needs, and the next 2 are more or less your psychological needs. So that's body, soul, and spirit. That's how some people look at that pyramid. Next slide. So now there's another reason we do what we do. The second component is in our heart. In the next slide, we show you just an example of what I say and why we do what we do from our heart. We do what we do to show love to others, to serve others. That is why we do what we do from our heart, because we want to help others. Next slide. So in our heads and in our hearts, now we have the opportunity to use that third component. That's our hands. Many actions are done with just the head and the hands. There's no heart in it. The difference in what we believe in and what our mission is our heart is the component that's usually left out. So with our hands, we become doers. And in our doing, we've encountered homeless people that's been following Christ. We met people that, for the past 5 years since we've been out here doing this, we met people that are chronic in being homeless. That means that when we first started 5 years ago, some of them were homeless, and they're still homeless. We met people in that time span that are episodic. Some people have lost a job, or they've gone through a divorce, or some particular episode in their life has caused them to be homeless. And then the next one is the transitional. We met people that are moving or just traveling through. They stop by to get food. They stop by to see if they can get clothes or some other referral information from us. And so they're just in transit or transitioning from one place to another, one location from another, or one home or another. And the last category I consider that's unknown, because some people don't share with us and they don't talk with us. We try to build a relationship with them, but that doesn't mean we're going to be successful. Now, we had a 2020 point in time count in the Heartland Coalition. That's all 6 counties, including Highlands County. That count was supposedly 291. But when you're trying to do a count for the homeless, that's a point in time, right this minute, at this time. That does not necessarily every homeless person that there is in the county. Highlands was supposed to have 98. I can tell you, we serve food on a weekly basis. I've been serving food for 5 years. We service more than 98 people that check that box that say they're homeless. What we started was, we have a street outreach program. In that street outreach program, when we went out there 5 years in our initial engagement, we were just trying to build trust with the individuals so that they would talk with us, so that they would share with us, so that we could help them to try to meet their basic needs, those needs right there to the bottom, on the very bottom level. And in that situation, we were providing food and water, tarps, and blankets. And some of those items were donated to us, but we were working with them on that very bottom level, in the triangle there. And in all 6 counties now, we will be traveling around in all 6 counties, and as we go to those counties, we will go to the locations that we've been going to here. We go to parks, we go to the streets, we go to parking lots, we go to storefronts, we go to encampments, we go to vacant and abandoned houses, buildings, and we go to condemned houses, uninhabitable housing, and these actual places exist in our county, and people actually live in every one of these type settings that I've just went over. And these are some pictures of us going out, and we've been doing this for y'all. First picture there is where we have our drive-through food ministry. We have the big tent up on Harris Street. We have people that come on their bicycles or that are walking, or some people that are homeless. They don't go to the drive-through, they have a different location where they go. Here you'll see a sub-housing area here, that house there that lady and her children live in. Really, uninhabitable and unfit for human habitation. But, we're taking her food there in that picture. Here we have our street outreach where the mobile truck goes around in certain areas of the county where we know where there are vacant houses and houses that aren't fit to live in. We go to those areas because we know those people are there. And they come out and they know that when the truck is coming and they're waiting for us to get food. That's in the street outreach. Also, we've been to encampments. Many times the encampments are found and located, and then they have to move out of the encampments. But how we know where encampments are, and I hate to say this, but sometimes we ride, and when we're looking, we see those, if you see this little blue thing right here, right there, see that little blue thing right there? That's an encampment, and that's a way of, getting people to notice that. It's a picture there, that's a piece of the park. Next slide. And these are, the photos of our mobile shower units, and I know many of you may have seen our shower house on in the news when we were trying to get the tires done at, Yarborough. We worked successfully in getting that done. We appreciate everybody's help in that. We tried towing that with the truck, but it was too heavy for us to take on the distances that we have to go, so my husband is now renovating this, they built this and he's renovating this, smaller unit here. And it is, on the lot down here on Harris Street. It should be ready to go out next week. And this is still to get more contact. This is to help assist in providing the basic needs to the homeless. Because not only do you need food and water, you need to be clean every day. You have a lady that came down, that was sent to us, by way of referral from a city employee. She came to us on March, I think like March the latter part of March, the 20-something. She had not had a bath since February the 26th. So these things are needed. If you have some questions, need anything that I've just shown you, just raise your hand. Or if you want to ask something, if I can answer that real quickly, because I want to really get into where we are trying to go and maybe see if I can get some interest in what we're trying to do in our county.
What was the number for the point in time count?
What do you want? For Hyde County, it was 98
98.
for Hyde.
And a follow-up question to that then, what is the long-range plan to end homelessness?
Well, that was taking a long time to answer, but what we're doing is, there needs to be a continuum of care. Your COC, our COC is, located in Avon Park. Ms. Brenda Gray is the, executive director of the COC. What the COC should do is, I've been in education over 30 years, and in our continuum of education, we have a line of how we go from the regular classroom or self-contained transitional housing. And then from transitional housing, you wanna get them into permanent housing, which might be affordable housing, or it might be, workforce housing. So there are just, different levels there. And in our county right now, we are deficient in emergency shelters. We are deficient in transitional housing. We are deficient in affordable housing. So that's why we're starting from the ground up. We started out going out, engaging with the people, trying to communicate with them. Some chronic people you're not gonna change, but some you can. And some of the episodic people, those are the people that you can help in a much easier fashion. I hope I answered that, because I don't wanna take too long. Second segment.
That's all I have.
All right, anyway, I have a second segment on that. What the second segment showed is what we're trying to do now. We're in a position of trying to open an emergency shelter in Avon Park. We couldn't find one in Sebring. We've also looked at a building here in Sebring. It's the old Cliffway building. But we're gonna need funds. You need funds for everything. So I wanted to at least bring everybody up to abreast, show what we are doing and how we can partner. We're willing to partner with someone. I can tell you this, on our food, in our food ministry, when we do our check sheets, we have a total of about an average of 125 people a month from Sebring that checks that box. Avon Park has some too. Lake Placid has the least, but Sebring has the highest amount. So I wanted you all to be aware of that. We really, really do need to address the needs of our homeless people in Highlands County. And I'll be back again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no motion. 10C, proposal purchasing policy update. Ms. Osha.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I promise I won't take as long as I did the first time.
Please.
To change the purchasing policy last year.
Okay.
Since we changed the purchasing policy when we implemented BSNA, we've come across several things that don't work with BSNA, and so we just wanted to make some changes. We also had an item that we wanted to update. We think that maybe it would make things run more efficiently. The first thing is additional processes, which would be adding the city administrator the ability to approve change orders. And I gave an example. We have a construction project that we went out to bid on. It's $150,000. They begin to do the work, and they find something that was not available for knowledge before they did the bid on the work, and it's gonna cost them another $750. We would have to come back to council to have that approved to do a change order. I think that amount compared to $150,000, we're hoping that will not delay projects moving forward, because we have to come back to council for that kind of thing. So we wanted to get council's input and recommendation on regarding the city administrator approving change orders like that. We did provide some suggested language under 1A. That is just up to a maximum amount of a change order. It doesn't matter what the contract amount is. It could be a $10,000 contract, it could be $1 million contract. You would only approve up to a maximum amount for the city administrator to approve for a change order. The second language is 10% of the original award amount, and that would include a maximum amount for a single change order, and all change orders would only be able to be made up to a certain dollar amount. The third option would be a 10% change order or a certain dollar amount, whichever is less. And then cumulative change orders couldn't exceed a certain dollar amount. So, an example would be if you have a $300,000 contract, a 10% change order would be $30,000. So if that's what, it depends on what a maximum amount of change order you would want it up to for the city administrator to approve. I think that probably a maximum dollar amount, and then we'll work back from that on whether you want 10% or just the maximum amount.
What's your recommendation?
So obviously, if you had a $500,000 project and you had a $50,000 change order, you probably don't want me approving a $50,000 change order.
You're right.
Right? So, I don't know what the magic number is here, but, it kinda is contingent upon, the size of the project. If you had a $10,000 project, you wouldn't want me approving a $10,000 change order either. So I think a percentage of 10%, right?
What's your maximum approval authority
10,000.
expenditures?
Well,
No, in purchasing, it's 35,000.
Well,
So-
council approval.
with council approval, right? Well, there's two different things here. We're talking about a contract that you all approved, right? So a contract you approved, I don't have the authority to change that contract, period.
Correct.
I do have authority to approve expenses up to $10,000, is that right, Penny? Or is it greater than that now with the new policy?
The purchasing policy,
It's 35,000.
anything over 10.
Council. Anything over 10, I have to approve, correct?
Right.
But less than,
Less than a bid, then if it's already been budgeted for, you would not necessarily need to take it back to council. If it was something that we put out to bid or was not in the budget, we would bring that to council for approval.
this really addresses
What I was trying to get at.
contracts.
Instead of sitting here and trying to decide which number's gonna be the best and everybody's got 14 different things, is what your purchasing approvals, 35 is what you're saying, Lisa? Is if he's got that much in a purchasing authority, is it?
Why can't he have that?
Up to a maximum, that may be 10%, up to a maximum of 35. But my second question is there anything that, this goes to the attorney side of it, is there anything in state statute or regulations on that contract for bidding size? You know what I'm saying? If it goes above and beyond, you have to, we have to get bids, you have to get 3 bids on what, over 50? Is that what it was?
There are different statutes on different expenses. They're much higher than 50.
Right.
For when you have to go out to.
Okay, I'm just
public
saying,
procurement.
if we say 10% up to 35 maximum on any contract,
I think you're fine there.
we're fine there. We're not gonna go over and say, okay, you've got it, if it's over, if you bid out a contract for 150 and it goes up to 200, you have to rebid that.
Let me, and maybe there's a trust aspect here as well, right? So
You want 0.
So,
I think we have
let's
faith
say
in
the
you to
pro,
make it. I'm just
let's
trying to
say,
find an easy-
a $10,000 contract isn't typically gonna be, it's not gonna be a contract for $10,000, but let's
Correct.
just say it is, right? And somebody came back and said, well, I wanna do a $20,000 change order. Well, I'm not approving a $20,000 change
No,
order.
you're not
I want
going
a
to,
$10,000, expense to begin with, right? If we wanna get that approved, let's bring that back to council.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's whatever your approval authority is for an expense.
But,
You make that as
in
your cap and then
in
work
your-
backwards at
your
10%.
circumstance at $35,000, right, if you will, if if the original
probably
contract was for
recommend
ten
coming back
thousand dollars, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna approve a $20,000 or $35,000
No, I'm
change.
saying that it's 10% with a cap at 35,000.
With a cap at 35, okay.
Right.
That would be probably number C, or letter C is what you're, you would
He's
be.
already got that
it's
approval authority.
Up to 10% or
Not to exceed
35,000.
35,000.
whichever is less. So if it's a $10,000 contract, then it's gonna be 10% of that
Be
contract.
$1,000.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a little on the low side there, if it's a $10,000 contract.
Well, yes, but that
Yeah, but you shouldn't
that
have on
way-
a $10,000 contract, if you would go to $5,000 or $10,000, you really blew you blew your estimate, you know. 'Cause those are small.
Yeah.
Do we consider cumulative too in this?
Right.
Say there's 2 or 3 change orders.
Sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
that-
so
I agree.
the 35,000, where does that
I think that would be your max.
max? Okay.
Right, and
Clarification.
letter C says that, the contract or purchase order, that was originally approved by city council, you can approve a change order up to 10% or $35,000, whichever is less. Cumulative change orders for a single contract purchase order cannot exceed, and I would say 35,000.
I would just like to throw out, I would feel a little more comfortable with the 25,000, and that would be cumulative, even though I realize he's got the 35 for the other one. But that's just me.
What number did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
25.
25 instead of 35.
How do we find out about them when this happens? Is there a vehicle to let us know? Like if you spend $35,000, how are you telling us now?
If we were to do it right now,
Mhm.
I bring the change order to you to approve. There is and we've done this, is if it's like an emergency, I
Mhm.
go to the council president, makes
I think that's appropriate.
makes the call.
Yeah.
And then we bring it to council at the next meeting,
Mhm.
right?
Is
But
it-
we're finding, situations where, the change order may be really relatively de minimis
Mhm.
to the project, and it just slows the whole process down if they're out there actively working.
You just notify the council at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, if you just let us know, I'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
And then if you get out of hand, trust factor, we can always take that back.
Correct.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Where was your dollar cap?
Where's your dollar cap? It's 25 or?
Well, you already have a 35.
got
That's on
35.
purchases, but this is on change order, which
I
we've already
understand
approved the
that.
contract.
But if we're gonna trust him with $35,000 one way, we should trust him with 35,000 the other. And like he said, it's a kind of a trust issue.
And that's fine.
It's the next guy you gotta worry
I know.
about. Not anytime
Don't
soon.
don't give him that.
Yeah, and it is a trust issue, because there may be circumstances where I'll say, I'm not gonna approve that.
Yeah, I
wanna
think
take
you're,
that to council.
I suspect you're more conservative than many of us,
Yeah.
so.
So what's the council's pleasure?
35,
10%
I'll go with
and
35.
no-
Yeah, let's do the 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the 35, but I got another comment. Say we have a project and we get the first change order, and it's 35,000 or somewhere close to that. Then we have a second change order, then you got to come back, right?
Well, he said cumulative.
Cumulative
Yeah.
35, okay.
Yes,
that's what I-
cumulative
Yeah,
35.
can't go
Cumulative.
over that.
Yes,
On all change orders, it can't go over the 35
Gotcha.
unless we approve it.
gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also, going on to the next section, there's some inconsistencies in the language in the new purchasing policy. Some areas and said department head or designee. Sometimes in the same paragraph, it said department head only, it didn't mention the designee. So we just wanna clean up the purchasing policy, so it's all consistent. So staff would request if, council approves this, the language and the policy would be updated to allow a department head to delegate all authority to a designee as the department head deems appropriate. Number 3, is just some changes and some deletions out of the policy, and really this was as a result of BSNA. Letter A is obsolete because with BSNA, the accounting clerk can't perform that function, so it needs to be removed from the purchasing policy. It's regarding a 5% of the of an invoice. She used to be able to, if the payment was in excess of the actual purchase order, then she could make an adjustment and pay it out of the account as long as they had department approval. BSNA does not allow that to happen. The next section is dealing with purchase cards. The purchase cards we used to do manually. Now with BSNA, we do it all through the system. There used to be a transaction report that was done, and all of the department heads' transaction reports were signed off on by the city administrator. That no longer happens, and with the purchase cards only being up to $5,000, it doesn't meet the city administrator threshold for purchases, so it does not route to him for approval. So that line, transaction reports of department heads, will be approved by the city administrator, just needs to be deleted out of the purchasing policy. The next section is just wording that was not accurate. It used to say the department head or designee is responsible for notifying the vendor of the city's tax exempt status. It needs to be the card holder. For instance, when they go for training and they check into a hotel, it's the card holder's responsibility to have that tax exempt certificate there with them. So that section just needs to be changed, updated to say card holder making a purchase is responsible for notifying the vendor of the tax exempt status. And those are the only changes I have. So, we would just request that, you make a decision on that first section and then just approve all the other changes. And from what I understand, you're gonna, go with letter C.
At
And
35.
and then with 35,000, 10% or 35,000, and then it cannot exceed 35,000.
Correct.
And then also, the city administrator will bring it before council at the next meeting.
Yeah. I would like to maybe make a little amendment to that instead of the 10% and move that up to 20 or 25%, especially on smaller contracts. Cause if it's a $10,000 contract and they have a change order of $1,200, I don't wanna hold up that job for that. So I would rather make that, again, letting him use his discretion on the smaller contracts and move that up to from 10% to maybe 20 or 25%. Just makes more sense to me on the smaller contracts. And we still have them, upper end limit is 35.
So what percentage, Charlie, are you?
I would say 25% on that,
25%.
yeah,
On small contracts.
on the smaller contract,
Yeah.
sure. And he's still maxed out, he can't go
Yeah,
above
yeah,
that
right,
25.
right.
Do we have to designate what's a smaller contract?
No, I think they're saying because it's a $35,000 cap, it's not gonna be an issue on large contracts.
Okay. That,
I would think
Kinda doesn't make
if it
sense.
if the change order came in for more than 25%, we would be notified.
Yeah, we should be notified on all the change orders.
Right.
at the
Right,
next
but I'm just
meeting.
saying, before that happened,
Yeah,
it would come to us.
right. Well, we can make that even 20 if you want, you know,
That's-
whatever y'all think.
I mean, if we go over 25%, we gotta rebid it, I guess. I mean, that'd be pretty shoddy.
Yeah.
well, a lot of times change
Way
orders
to
happen
submit a bid.
after the process has already started, though. I mean,
That's
yeah.
something they couldn't have known prior.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen very often. It just, when it does happen, it's usually at the most inconvenient.
Yeah, it's
and-
cumbersome.
Yes,
Okay.
and so we just want to, for those times that it does happen, he has the ability to make that approval, without waiting and stopping work.
Well, whatever it is, we're gonna hear about it. We're gonna find out, so
Right.
it's really not an issue, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the city administrator's change order language using 1C and 35,000 as the cap with a 25% allowance. And then approve all other changes to the purchasing policy as requested.
And notification.
And bring the change order to council
Well,
at the next meeting.
okay,
Yep,
amen.
okay.
Mark, did
I'll
you-
second.
Did you mention 25% or 35,000, whichever is less?
Yes, just like it's written in 1C.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Got a second? Any discussion from the audience? Any more discussion up here?
Dennis.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lance.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, 10D is Water Distribution Department Crew Leader position. Mr. Bogus, you have the floor.
Good evening. Just to give council a little historical background, the Water Department Distribution Division typically has always had two employees, usually they're seasoned employees, and a crew leader position. The crew leader position essentially is a kind of a entry-level supervisory type job that not only aids in training new employees, trying to get them up to speed and teach them kind of the where everything is and how it works, they also inspire by leading by example. And more recently, I kind of took it on to add another requirement that they have to have a Class 3 distribution license. The license protects the city in case something goes wrong. The DEP can't come back and say your people aren't properly trained. So by having a crew leader out there and a crew, it gives us that protection. Now, these licenses are not easy to come by. It takes an awful lot of study and preparation, and the test is certainly no piece of cake. Also, you can't even take the test if you don't have at least a high school diploma or a GED. That's just a prerequisite of taking the test. Tonight, I come before council seeking your approval to promote George Bryant to crew leader. George has worked tirelessly. He started without a GED, he earned his GED, and then successfully passed the exam on the first try. He did that back in December. So George now has all of the qualifications for a crew leader position. Therefore, I'm seeking council's approval to go ahead and promote him to that class. And if approved, I'd like to make that promotion effective March 29th, which will give him this full pay period at the higher rate. The promotion essentially is a 5% increase over his existing rate of pay. It is an hourly position, so he gets paid by the hour.
Sounds good to me.
Me too.
Yep.
George here tonight?
He's on vacation, believe it or not. He hardly ever takes vacation, but he's on vacation this week.
I'd like to send my congratulations to him for keeping his nose to the grindstone and achieving this particular level of
He is
success.
the first, I hope, of several others to follow that has accomplished this. I hope by his setting the example. And George has always been kind of that guy. He's always led by setting the good example. So hopefully I have two others that are in various stages of taking their exam or preparing for it. So hopefully they'll also make it.
Great. I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda item as presented.
I'll second.
Are you gonna do it the effective date, March 29th?
Yes.
Okay, Kathy, we have a motion in 2 seconds.
I'll give that
Whoever
Mr.
the other
Bennett.
one was for that.
Give it to that one.
Is there any more discussion? Just tell him congratulations.
I'll certainly do that.
Pull the board, Kathy.
Detman.
Yep.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lance.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Next, 10E, Resolution 2021-04, funding new police officers' positions. Mr. Carl Chief Hoagland.
Mayor, council, and staff, good evening. Carl Hoagland for the record. As in your packets, AIS, or Action Item Summary 10E, Resolution 2021-04, funding for new officer positions. Background on this item is during the annexation planning process, we identified a staff need after doing a call study and assessment that we needed to hire 3 additional personnel with equipment to cover the newly annexed corridor of 27 for police services, which will be effective October 1, 2021. Toward that goal, we need an appropriation of general fund balance in the amount of $272,820, and that is for all equipment associated with the positions and partial year salary and benefits to the tune of, I think, 5.5 months to carry us forward in preparation for taking on that service area.
When would that be effective, Carl?
The service area would be October 1st. We are hiring and trying to get people through training at this time.
Have you been able to hire 3 people at this time?
We have 2 on staff toward annexation. That leaves us 2 positions short. However, I have 3 2-week notices on my desk right now, so we have taken 3 steps forward and 3 steps back.
Did you tell them that wasn't allowed?
I told them I'd shred their documentation, but
It didn't work.
No. Got 1 young man going to Brevard County. He's from the Osceola area, and 2 of our bright young stars are going to the sheriff's office.
Should I go get my recertification renewed, or what?
It's only 10%, but sure.
Sure.
Have you reached out to the Portland police? I hear some of them are leaving.
No, sir, I have not.
Capital Police are leaving too, so.
So what's the answer to finding officers?
Finding hasn't been a problem, it's retention. With the portable pension and FRS, they're free to come and go, unfortunately. So we're gonna keep working on creating opportunities in-house. Both young men that are leaving are citing additional opportunities, specialized units. Both have between 3 and 5 years experience. They're young, they're energetic, and they want to go do fun cop stuff. So we've got to try and get competitive in that area, and until I get folks to do it, we just can't.
So we need a SWAT team, is that what you're saying?
Well, let's slow down a little bit. Traffic would be a wonderful start.
We need to hire people over 45 years old.
Well, congratulations on the 3 steps forward.
Thank you.
And I will make a motion that we approve the resolution 2021-04 authorizing budget amendment number 62 as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion in the audience? Any more up here? Kathy?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Okay, we have business from the audience. Mr. Cornett, if you'd like to come up and give us your 5-minute spiel. That's good. 3's good.
With the Boys and Girls Club, those of you that don't know me, and have a couple questions to ask. One is, can we paint the building? It's about that time.
What color?
I have colors right here. I was told to do that. They are circled at the bottom. There's a light shade of gray and there's a white. Those would be the colors that we're going to go with.
That's where that look on Scott's face is. Stiff.
Well, I seen it.
Institutional.
Non-threatening gray.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. We are in the process of a full overhaul of the grounds with new plants, new shrubbery, paint, and then we're going to resod and redo the playground with new bark, and it will give the whole street a facelift.
Just out of curiosity, are you going to have some of the students help in the painting or landscaping?
Landscaping, and they're doing it now.
Okay.
They started with the garden. I don't know if you guys are aware. We've started a community garden. Garden is up and running and just can stop by and see it. Well, these kids follow around my new gardener like Pied Piper. They get their hands dirty, they do all the work. Those are the ones that are gonna be doing the mulching and putting in the new plants. No, we won't let them touch the paint. We're probably gonna do this, well, it's scheduled to be a day of caring on the 18th. If you guys will give me the thumbs up, we'll have it painted. That's the point.
I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
We were just ready for something different. We were gonna redo the blue, and a couple people mentioned, could we change the color? And of course, I came to illustrious council gentleman next to me. He said, gotta ask council.
Yeah.
Bring color. If gray is not the right color, I'm okay with another one, but I'm looking for.
You don't like mauve?
Mauve works, but I figured that everybody had chosen gray and white, and I figured that was a good way to go.
I think that sounds
And probably
great.
in 3 or 4 years, they'll do it again. And there's no cost to the council or to the city.
Yeah. Just as a comment, I used to be in real estate a long time ago, one of my many jobs, and I read a study where gray and white houses get the highest prices. So I think you've done a good choice.
Outstanding.
That was,
Like
don't
that.
sell the building.
That was 20 years.
Yeah, it was. Or more.
Not getting rid of the business, there you go.
So I don't think we need to make a motion.
No, I think there's, everybody's saying go for it.
Go, man.
Yeah,
Perfect,
do it.
perfect.
Yeah.
And I would wish you all to come by and take a look. Love for you to come by between 3:30 and 5:30 when the kids are out there doing stuff and look at the garden. And we will be putting up plans, and Home Depot has come through with some wonderful, wonderful gifts for us to put out and make the place look pretty. And I appreciate all the help you guys give.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Mhm. Next, we have Barbara, is it Copeland? Coughlin. Come up and tell us who you are. Coughlin like a rooster. That'd be crowing. Tell us who you are.
My name is Barbara Coughlin, and I've been in Sebring for over 50 years. I have some aliases, but Mama said, you know, you go with the Miriam, so we won't go there. Barbara Coughlin is my maiden name, and it's my name now. So I'm here, this will be real brief. I just want to know when that horse is being removed from the circle over by Valencia. I've heard different things about it.
What horse?
The horse.
It's
on
Bob
the
Swain's horse.
circle.
There's a small circle that has a statue that was placed there by someone who's no longer with us, a former, someone that lived right on that circle. She passed away several years ago now, and the horse remains.
Ah.
The horse needs to come down. It's a lot of things that I don't believe the city of Sebring represents, but she wanted the horse, and they were in the newspaper with the horse, and the horse remained.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
It has a lot of hard memories for different people that are faced with the horse.
So if you were coming from Hidden Beach or from Faith Lutheran Church, you go up that short hill, there's a small circle that is city-owned. It is a small park, there's some benches,
Yeah,
some trees.
sure.
This horse was a statue that one of the neighbors paid for. She wanted it, she thought it would be a nice addition to the circle, and council agreed. So it is a 8-foot or thereabouts horse on a concrete slab it had wood around it and a fence of some sort. It's probably, the base is 6 or so feet across, 7, maybe 4 feet this way. I mean, it's a sizable structure. It's not a fountain, but I think maybe it was painted bronze, and it doesn't really resemble bronze much anymore.
It's crumbling, the structure, the material is not made to last. Our key issue was the plaque dedicating the horse to her husband, because ugly things were said, and the horse was actually a joke. That her husband, well,
perhaps Ken Fields could look into the cost
Yeah.
of what removal would be, and you
Yeah.
can
It's
consider
a
this at a
hazard,
future
yeah.
meeting.
It is definitely.
If it's falling apart,
It's falling apart.
Yeah, I'd like to also, you know, at least put it on the agenda, maybe in case someone else wants to speak about it.
The neighbors
Yeah.
are reluctant, cause they said they're gonna wanna know why besides safety, and I said, well,
Yeah.
I kinda do things like that, I understand.
But then on the other hand, you might have neighbors that think just the opposite of that.
Well, I
Let me
know the
ask you
people
this.
that purchased that home, they like the horse, but, there's plenty of witnesses that can come and say why the horse
Right.
was.
Well, let me ask you this, it's actually, if I'm reading you correctly, if I'm understanding you, it's not really the horse, it's the plaque and what it represented, is that correct?
That was initially, but now it's crumbling, and so we think that, it's time.
Is the plaque still there?
The plaque is still there, we have pictures of it.
How long has it been up there, Barbara, do you know?
Probably about 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe 15.
longer than that.
It's about 10 or 15 years. It's gotta be.
The horse was
I lose track
I
of
think
the
it's there
last four.
since I've been
The
here.
horse was purchased from Robbins, it was a nice horse. Beautiful horse.
It's not an eyesore, I go through there all the time, I own property down the street on Summit.
I'm aware of where your property
Yeah.
is, that's right.
My thought here is, if we're sharing information, why don't we let Mr. Fields or someone from the city go ahead and take a look at it and see what state of disrepair or repair it may be in, and then go from there, but I also think Mr. Lawrence has an idea that, because we really need to hear from the neighborhood too, you might take that down, we might vote to take that down, and then all of a sudden, we end up with 50 people in here saying,
Right.
why'd you take the horse down?
Well, if you would like, we could do a petition, if you would prefer to.
Yeah. We just, I
Still
think,
has to
kinda
be
like to hear both sides if there is another
Right,
side.
would you like for us
Yeah.
to petition the neighborhood and,
I'm gonna say that's up to you, but, you know.
They just want to give those others an opportunity to
Right.
address council if they see it differently.
Right.
Not, they don't necessarily want to.
I
to
understand
get everybody
that for
to
those
sign on.
that like the horse.
Maybe they'd like to have just the plaque removed.
Well, there was a city worker there, and some of the neighbors that walk in the area went over and talked to a city worker, and he did agree it's deteriorating.
Yeah.
That it looked like it could be a liability
Well,
of someone being injured on the horse.
we'll have somebody go by and look at it. You wanna put it on the agenda?
But the chief brings up a very good point, the plaque.
Why don't we start just looking at the condition and reporting back, start there, and then,
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pass
I
these
just
to
want
us.
to-
Yeah, me too, I'm curious.
Thank you. Okay. That takes care of the business from the audience. City attorney,
Nothing from me, sir.
city administrator.
Good evening, council. Agenda item 13A are the collective bargaining agreements for the police union for contract years 1920 and 2021. Each party was able to open an article. So in 1920, we had Article 16 opened by administration, and Article 18 was opened by the bargaining unit. Article 16 had to do with promotion and selection procedures. Article 18 had to do with increasing on-call pay from $1 an hour to $2 an hour. The bargaining unit has voted collectively on both of these and passed each of these contract amendments. The 2021 year has to do with rates of pay. It implements a new step plan. Admin opened that up in order to try to remain competitive and to retain and attract new employees to the police department. Bargaining unit opened up Article 18, which would increase the air mile radius with which you could bring a car or have a city police car from 15 to 30 miles, and same rationale is to retain and attract
Absolutely.
employees.
Yep.
As long as it stays in Highlands County. Is that correct? I believe so.
I don't.
Carl's shaking his head no.
I
30
think
miles.
we did 30 air miles, which would take us. It could take us
Frost-proof.
to what?
I think frostproof.
I'm not sure that it took us all the way to Okeechobee or not.
No,
but
I think frostproof. Yeah.
Chief Carl Hoagland for the record. The 15 to 30 air mile radius was looked at to extend the take-home privileges to encompass Wauchula. We've had a number of applicants coming from the Wauchula and Hardy County area to the northeast corner of Arcadia, that area of DeSoto County, and it takes us to 9 Mile Grade or the 721 junction off Highway 70 in an attempt to recruit some applicants from the Okeechobee County area. We felt going beyond that was just putting a car too far out. We did not want to do adjacent counties. You could obviously have people coming almost from Port St. Lucie and from potentially Lakeland if they were in Polk County. On the north end, it extends us beyond Lake Wales, almost to the Lake Alfred area.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir.
Do you think that's gonna help, Carl?
We have an applicant going through field training right now that lives in Frostproof, so the county restriction is going to enable them to take a take-home car home. We also have a veteran, a Marine Corps veteran officer in training right now who lives in Wauchula. So I will say immediately upon them coming out of field training, this will help, certainly from a retention perspective. Of the applicants we're processing right now with backgrounds, one is coming from the outskirts of Okeechobee, so it's likely it will help them as well.
Good. Thank you.
Sir.
Thanks, Carl.
Yeah. 30 miles is 30 miles. I
Yeah, it
think
doesn't
it's-
matter.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion, and then if there's further discussion, we can do that. I make a motion, we approve the contract as presented for contract year 2019-2020 and 2020-21, and authorize the city administrator to sign.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion in the audience? Any other discussion up here? Kathy?
Denton,
Yes.
Ivy,
Yes?
Clemens,
Yeah.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes. Okay, 13B, Mr. Naylor?
Agenda item 13B is a resolution that will implement 13A, which you all just passed.
I move that we approve resolution number 2021-06, authorizing budget amendment number 67 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion in the audience? Any more up here? Poll the board.
Denton, Ivy,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes. Okey dokey, we have the city clerk.
Council may approve the payment of bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Poll the board.
Denton,
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes. Okay.
Before we go to the next item, if I may.
Yep.
I'd also like to, I think I've coordinated with each of you, the 28th of April for a workshop on strategic planning. If you all could check your calendars and just be sure that that date works for you, 5:30 PM.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday.
What?
April 28th. 10-4. Okay.
And then I'd also like to remind everybody about the Pro Watercross event this coming Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely.
That should be an exciting event. It's at Veterans Beach, and we have arranged with the Elks Club to allow for the use of the boat ramp. So if you're unable to get your boat in the water before 7 a.m. each day or after the pro watercross event activities, then you can utilize the Elks Club program.
Can we,
Posted that anywhere?
yeah, I was gonna ask that. Can we do
Notify
any kind of
people
temporary
or advertise?
signage? Can we do
I, we had some signage at one point. I'll see whether we can repost that signage if we have it. If not, we'll have some new signage made. And,
Because if somebody pulls up there and it's closed, then I'd like to at least have some kind of direction for them to know where they can put their boat in or possibly take it out. So that'd be great.
Comment here. Had in our agenda item here regarding mobile homes and mobile home park. Did you want to bring up anything on that?
I do want to schedule a workshop on that. And I don't know, I don't know when everybody's going to be available to do that. I know that you're going to be out from when? The 12th through the 25th? Does that sound right?
Something like that. I may be back.
But I would like to schedule a workshop on mobile home parks. I'm not sure, I think it's too large to cover maybe at a council meeting. We could attempt to do so, but I just
set it up,
I think
man.
there's gonna be a lot of discussion about it, so.
Yeah, make it happen.
So, the intent is right now in the city, unless you have mobile home park zoning, you can't bring a new mobile home in. And this would be to discuss, options to do so. So it kind of presents the code as it sits today, and maybe some recommendations from Central Florida Regional Planning Council as to, what we could implement to allow people to bring in new mobile homes to replace some of the very dilapidated mobile homes that are out there.
And just also to add to that a little bit, we just annexed 3 mobile home parks too. So we need to, figure out what's fair for everybody in regards to it.
Absolutely. Anything else? If not, it's time to change the guards up here. It's time for the election of the council president. We need a motion for a president.
I'd like to make that motion and explain to you why. About 2.5 years ago, when Mr. Ivy moved to, 3 years ago, to Sebring, him and I sat down as former police chiefs together, knew each other from the FBI National Academy, and I said, when you're done with your gig over at the college, I said, I'd really like to see you go on council. And he says, I'd be real interested in doing that. So since he's here, I think he ought to go ahead and pay the price. Nominate him as for president of the council for next year,
Okay.
for this year.
Okay. Any other nominations?
You're in, buddy.
You take. Wait a minute, we gotta vote.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stand up
Doesn't
yet.
he
We
get
have to
equal
vote.
time to object?
So I can congratulate him, so.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Go ahead.
Detman.
Yes.
Ivy.
Yes. I gotta vote myself. Okay.
You said no, that was.
You should have been last.
Lance.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
I think so.
On this most auspicious occasion, I'd like to say.
Okay, and now we have to do for pro tem, same thing.
You want me to keep the ball rolling? Mr.
If you wanna go for it,
Yep,
then,
go ahead and nominate Charlie Lawrence as pro tem.
Charlie.
I don't get the big speech.
You've been around long enough.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You were already here.
Yeah, is there any other nominations? Do it?
Detman.
Yep.
Ivy.
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Carlisle.
Yes, ma'am.
we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
I just want to say to everybody, thank you for helping me do my job up here.
Good job.
And,
Well done.
thank you. And,
Kept a close watch on you, Leonard.
hey, somebody's got to watch me, I tell you.
Who's responsible for his plaque? I mean, yeah.
And,